Hello, my friends. This is Linda with Stamp with Linda at live.com. I am happy to be here to show you another technique. I tried it last night and I got too much background noise on my recording, so let's see if we can do it again today. Anyway, we're going to do this card right here. And I'm going to show you how to do the background. There's a couple of different options. And let's get started. So the first option that I started with was I used the tailored tag punch right here. And see, I used the tailored tag punch and punched out 4 different designs out of the designer series paper. And I use the tailored tag because of all of our punches, it's the one that with the straightest sides. And you really want to have something that's got straight sides so they can match up together. You can probably do some of the other punches. I haven't really played around and tried with them yet, but there are a couple of them that are almost square-like that might give a similar effect as well. But if you don't have the tailored tag punch, which I think you should have, because it's been really great, good for masculine words on your masculine cards, as well as this technique. But if you don't have the tailored tag punch and any punches that work with it, you can also do this with dies. And that's what I did with this one. I used the dies from the Stitched Nested Labels dies right here. So I used this set of dies. I used to punch out the shapes. I used the third smallest. This is the third smallest die. And then I used some larger dies for our center piece. And you can play around with what sizes you want to use. But I wanted to at least be able to showcase some of the designer paper, which I absolutely love. I was hemming and hawing about this designer paper, but I think with this design, I really, really love it. In any case, we're going to use I use the dies, and I already pre-cut them out. I have 4 different designs, but if you can see on here, I really only used 3 of the designs except for one of the sides over here. And this was the other design that I used. So I'll hold that as an extra piece, but I'll really kind of work with these designs here. And I used this paper. I'll show you a scrap that I was punching out of. I punched out of this one. I wanted the color scheme to be at least have the terracotta tile in it. And then I used the green for most of them, but I've got some of the blue in here as well. So that was my plan. So we're going to take, for card paper that we're going to need, I've got 2 sheets right here of 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have my terracotta tile. Oh, wait a minute. This is 4 by 5 1/4. This one is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So it's a little bit smaller so that I can mount it on here. And then I'll be able to put it on my card base, which I'm using cinnamon cider. But I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to end up cutting it down at some point. I turned it this way. Most of my other cards I've done there. I cut out an extra one of these shapes because, as you can see on the card, I'm covering over the center spot. So I didn't want to waste the designer paper. I did waste it on the actual card, but so this will be actually my placeholder. And I could have used just regular copy paper, which is a little bit thinner, like the designer paper as well, but I just went with this. So this one I'm going to be able to put right down on the paper, and I'll find kind of the center of it. So I'll line up my card, my base, try and find somewhat of the center. And because I'm using the Tombow, I'm able to move it around a little bit if it's not straight or centered. And that looks about right. So we'll go with that. Then I put these pieces on the sides of that. And you may want to you can lay out your designs, because the first time I laid it out, I had this design, I think, in the center, and I wasn't as crazy about it, so I kind of wanted the cone. Now you can line it up against the edge of it, or you can just give it a little bit of a space, and then you see the white in between there. So that looks about right. And we'll do the other one here. And this comb paper is the back of the, oops. Well, that doesn't really matter because we're going to cover that over anyway, so. Going crooked here. See, is that, this one might want to go over a little bit. Now we're not gonna be covering that anyway, so. It looks centered against the sides anyway. Then I was very careful about trying to pick how the cones were going to be seen. And because this is going to hang off down here, I don't want to put the glue on here like I did for the other. So we're going to line it up here. And this looks kind of funny with the white space in the middle, but that will change. I feel like I'm so crooked on this. And then I'll put some glue on this side. This pattern over here. I hope those are stuck together, because otherwise I didn't cut out enough of this. There we go. So it ended up with about 1/8 of an inch between them. It's closest today. I'm going to put this one down in the corner here because it's on the side, so it'll almost be more centered. So sometimes if you can't cut them out, it doesn't really matter perfectly. It doesn't really matter all the time. So I'll put that on like that. And we need another one over here. I have to change my base here because it's oops, isn't that funny? No wonder it wasn't staying down. I thought it wasn't staying down because it was actually the same thing, just stuck to it. Okay, and I'm going to flip it around while that dries. And then I'll go the opposite on this one, but be careful you make sure your cones are the right way because we want them all to go in the same direction. So I have to kind of do it upside down on this side. And keep shifting it here. Put another hot glue over here. I guess if we want these to go the same direction, we have to kind of pay attention to that as well. It's all about the direction. And then we'll have another cone over here. Oops. And another thing over here. And you'll notice we've got two spots on the side here. What am I missing here? Oh, there we go. That's why I have the extra one. We'll go this way. But we're going to cut this down a little bit anyway because we want we want a white border on the outside, so it kind of matches what's in the inside here. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, taking scissors, and we're going to trim right along the edge there. You can use your trimmer if you prefer. I'm laughing because I'm going clockwise and I always go, or counterclockwise, and I always go clockwise. It seems a little funny. Or I'm going counterclockwise rather. And the last edge here. I do really like this ice cream cone suite here. It's fun. All right, and then we're going to put on the edges, because I've got a couple pieces here that I can reuse. We'll put this design, just because we don't want to reuse the same design as that one. So we'll put this over here and see how much of it ends up getting cut off when we do our trimming. And I've got another one of those here. On this side. Rub our glue, doesn't dry out on me. Dry for a brief second. Well, that's kind of dry, and we'll come in and we'll fold our card base of cinnamon cider. And we'll put our terracotta tile on here. Oh, I think a lot of adhesive there. This right here. And then we'll put this one down. Make sure I got my right sizes here. Oh, I think I gotta, my goodness, I'm not doing too well with the adhesive right now. Let's use this one. Sometimes with this new seal, I think the Seal Plus works much better. For what I've heard, I haven't purchased it yet, but as far as not having to restart it every time you roll it. But it does stick much better than the other adhesive as well. Now we'll trim this one off, just like this. And then I have to bring in my cutter because I'm going to trim that down. So I think we need to trim 1/8 off of each side. So that it ends up being 3 3/4. And I'll trim off this end, and this is gotta be 5. I didn't trim off the top of that one, but it doesn't matter. So, oh, I trimmed too much of it. Look at that. See, because I didn't remeasure. And I put it down already. My goodness. Oh well. This one will look a little bit different, but that's okay. It just varies the card from the original, that's all. That down there. If anything, my sides are a little more, well, maybe not. A little different than they were. Okay, now we're going to do the center ice cream cone. So we'll put these together because it's not really going to matter that I'm not stamping on them, so. Put these on as you can see, I just cover over that center piece. And then we need our cone. Oh, well, let's do our happy birthday first. Okay, here's a piece of the foam adhesive sheet, and it's 2 inches this way, and this is 2 inches. So I put it so that I can show you how to put this on. I'm going to do it upside down so I can line it up easier. So I'm just going to line up the 2 inches. I will tell you that it is hard to cut this because it's thick. And then I'm going to trim it because I don't want to stick to this. I'll use my bigger scissors. I'll put that on there. And now I can take this and run this through the cut and emboss machine. Like this. And it'll be a double thickness. Just like that. And then we're just going to take that off. And this comes from the Happy Chick, or the Hey Chick dies that go with the stamp set from a couple of years ago. Now I'm going to take my pokey tool here and kind of push this a little bit because then it'll come off the back a little bit easier. Not so much with the center dots, but get all the centers there. So now when I pull it up, see it took off one of the pieces there. And then the other pieces will really just kind of come off in my fingers because they've been pushed through a little bit. Sometimes they really stick to your finger and can't help but come off. This was a little more stubborn. See little centers of the B's and the P's. I do really love this happy birthday. No, it's almost like the perfect size. And why did I take that off? That was kind of silly. Now I just have to sit it here upside down and hope nothing sticks to it until I finish my cone. So now I'm going to use the ice cream cone punch, and I'll put it in here to see if I can trim off this edge here. And slide it in. Slide it in this way. My goodness. Should have kept the other video that I had all the extra noise on it. At least I didn't make so many mistakes. Oh well, you're just going to see that I'm human just like the rest of you. That's all. Let's move it down a little bit here. I get a cone on there. And then My punch has got to be sharpened. Oh, you know why? Because it's got the edges on it. Then we're going to take some more of the paper. Here's the one of the designs. We use this one in the card. We're going to use this to punch out our cone, our ice cream. So we'll have our ice cream there. And then there's another sheet that comes in the designer series paper that has the blue in it. So let's see if we can do this blue one here. Oh, wait a minute, I want green. But I want a big enough piece of green that, so we're just going to kind of trim this down here. So I can get into the green. And then it'll match up right with, now there's a coordinating stamp set, so you could also stamp the colors too if you didn't want to use up the designer paper that way, but I got the designer paper, so I'm going to use it. So you could actually stamp your top in terracotta tile and old olive, and then punch it out. The same with your cone. You could stamp it and then put, actually you don't even have to use this one. You could use this cinnamon cider paper and then put a darker, maybe a soft suede of this mark on it. So we're going to lay our cone down at the bottom there. You know what? I'm punching out another cone. I don't like that it has those marks on it. Just trying to use up my paper here. And got the marks. There we go. Oh, that's much better. So I'm going to put a little adhesive on it. Okay, it's somewhat centered. And then I'll put my green piece down. And it's got some nice polka dots on the back of it too. Our cone top here. And then we're going to pop up this one. Give it a little dimension, and it'll actually match the happy birthday as well. So let's see, we have a piece there. And don't forget to use your side pieces on your dimensionals. And we'll put the top on here like this. And then we'll go back to our happy birthday. I gotta get my extra P dot out of there. And then we're just gonna lay this down, and that'll be our saying. So there you have it. A cute little happy birthday card. Again, here's the original one where I had less of a border. That kind of matched up with my border in there, but you know what? It is what it is. And I think somebody will still love it the way it is. So let me show you a couple other samples that I had. There's two more that I used with a tailored tag. And I used the Blackberry Bliss color for this one. And then the Forever Greenery for that. And then we also have, I'm not sure any of you even noticed it, the set in the main catalog called the Right Triangle. And it coordinates with these triangle dies. And so I used one of the triangles in here. And I punched out a bunch of triangles because cones are kind of in that shape. Close to a cone shape anyway. So I thought that would be kind of fun to do a cone card with an ice cream card with it. And of course I didn't use the cone, I used the stamps here for this one. But the only thing you have to do is be careful when you're punching them out. You want to make sure that your ice cream popsicles are going the right direction. So So that's a valid concern. And then this one I used the Stitch Shapes framelits, and I took the square out of there because it had the stitching on it, and then I used the rectangle dies for this one. And as you can see, again, I covered up the center one, so it doesn't matter what's underneath there. And I used the hydrangea paper for this one. So there you have it. Thanks for joining me on my video here, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.